G'day guys, welcome back to SuperCoach with DR and welcome to the round 11 review. Wasn't a bad round for me, round 11 rank of 24.93. I did go up in the ranks a couple of thousand spots, so now I'm at 36.38. Had a really poor last month, due to a little bit of bad luck, couple of poor decisions on my behalf, so it is finally nice to be getting closer and closer to the top 2k. Trades for me, yeah, I wouldn't call them an absolute fail, but I suppose what hurts me the most is the fact that I had traded Rory Laird in, unfortunately pressed that reverse trade button, and decided to go with Titch, Shuey, and Schoenberg. So the main reason for going Titch and Shuey in the end was the fact that they'd already had their buys. So it was really hard to look past that. Look, Shuey, without his injury affected score, if you take that out, he was averaging 110. Clearly had his quietest game for the season. I think he was only on about 2 disposals at quarter time, and he got those right at the end of the quarter. Yeah, did get reported, I think, for tripping. Managed to get a fine, which was good. But yeah, overall, pretty disappointed with the Shuey trade in. Titch, well, yeah, I'm still fairly happy. As I said, he won't have his buy. He got 100 plus, which is okay, but I'd certainly want a little bit more from Titch. And Schoenberg, yeah, not wrapped with the look of him. I think he'll probably get dropped this week for a Rory Sloane that'll come back in to the side. But let's have a look and see how we actually went. So in the back line, James Sicily didn't have a massive impact on the game, but then he went bang in the last quarter, took an absolute hanger. He then went back, slotted the goal, and I was jumping for joy. But I think about 5 minutes later, though, a bit of a shiver went down the spine, and I thought, does this mean that Sis looks to make even a short-term move to the forward line? He's, in all honesty, probably their best option, but I'm holding on to the hope that due to his importance, in his intercept role and setting up the whole Hawthorn defence, really, that he'll go back to his usual role for next week. But him swinging forward during games, I think, is a big possibility from now on, even if it's just for a quarter or two, but I don't like that. Jordan Ridley, well, we were worried that he may not get up for this one, but he soldiered on, probably playing a bit hurt, and killed it down there in the back line. Such a reliable pick. And as a player, I think he's bordering on becoming elite for his role. So one of the biggest breakout players of 2020. Wrapped to have him in the side. Stewart, he was much better this week. Geary was playing a defensive role on him, but it didn't seem to have much effect on Tommy. Takes a lot of the kickouts, which is handy and easy points. Not a heap of intercept possessions this week, or last week, I should say, but still a solid 100, and I'll take that every day of the week at the moment, to be quite honest. Sam Doherty, I think I can almost officially say that he's become a shell of his former self. The 100 plus scores, they've dried up like a raisin, and his scoring is just mediocre at the moment. I had him locked away for a top six defender, but I may need to go back and look for the key because yeah, he's just not looking like it at the moment. Look, I'm obviously keeping him. Most of us, I think, are in the same boat there. Tommy Duday, this dude was smashing it, 90 plus score at three-quarter time, but then he did his bloody hammy. Really wanted to keep him as my D6, but now I'm forced to move him on. But he was looking terrific during that game. Noble, he's been pretty solid the last few weeks. You can keep him and he won't lose any cash. He may make a little bit more, but I think it's also fine to trade him if you're going to upgrade. Andy McPherson, really solid game from him. Had a 30-point plus first quarter. I think it was that. And then went a little bit quieter. I think Adelaide have picked up a really good foot soldier here. And it seems like he can be relied upon just to play his role and do that well. And Nuthling, well, he was on the pine. Almost scored as well as he did last week. Yeah, bad luck for those people who traded in Watson early. Most of us expected him to play. I've already been a victim of the late team announcements, leaving Noble's 100 on the bench a couple of weeks ago, which cost me over 70 points alone. So I feel for anyone that traded in Watson for his inflated price, only to receive a duck egg. But, hopefully he'll come back. Lockie Neal, I've almost run out of things to say about this bloke, and I feel like I'm just on repeat. He's still a possession pig, clearance king, but he's worked tirelessly on the little things he needed to work on to take his game to the next level. He's lifted his kick to handball ratio, has become a regular goal kicking mid, with his probably only knock possibly being his goal kicking accuracy. Remember that game he kicked 5 or 6 points, and McCluggage did the same in that game against the Crows. It was just amazing. Never seen anything like it, but he's just an out and out superstar and is having the season of his life. Jack Mcrae, another one. What do you say? Just brilliant. Was a ball magnet. This is exactly why I paid the big bucks for him at the start of the year, and now that decision is paying off handsomely. Was really worried about 5 weeks ago and thought that I'd overpaid, But over the past month, he's shown us why he was worth a high starting price and is now basically becoming unattainable for non-owners. Titch on debut, again got plenty of the ball, but had a few clangers, just wasn't damaging enough with his disposal. I'm still happy to have him though. Danger had a massive second quarter after a quiet start. I was initially worried that he was going to deliver around a 90, but he ended up having a fair impact on the game and happy with that score. I wish he could improve his goal kicking accuracy though. It's really costing me points every week. Duncan got a heap of the ball, but just didn't use it very well. Again, had a pretty quiet start, but then found plenty of it. Shuey, another mid-odd debut. I explained why I selected him, but a disappointing score. On the bright side, he was lucky enough to only receive a fine for tripping Ed Curnow and will be available to play. That's very handy. Cripper, we all have him, coming off a huge score. Did manage to hit the ton, but not a complete disaster. But look, in saying that, we expect a lot more from Cripps, and he's been, well, not a failed pick, but a poor starting pick anyway. And I doubt whether I'll be starting him next year. I only will be if his value is too good to ignore for some reason. But yeah, looking elsewhere in 2021. Schoenberg had him on field, looked a little off the pace for me, and may lose his spot to Sloan this week. I don't think he's looking great. I was spewing that Simpson didn't play, really wanted and needed that extra cash gen of what, 20 to 30k hopefully, but I think he goes this week for me. Close, very solid score, and I think he cemented his spot in the best 22. Great to see Rivers get a game. Fingers crossed he holds his spot. He could be someone, really handy to swing, either back into the midfield. So yeah, really handy he's actually playing at the moment. I was rapt to see Rivers' name on the team sheet there. Now, the Rucks. Hey, Jono, get to you soon, buddy. Hear from you, mate. Azza as well. G'day, Azza. Where was I? So yeah, in the rucks. So Grundy was rumours that he may be rested, but took his place in the side. Many people sweating on this one, including me. But he's not in the form of his life. But it's just good to have him playing, and he's going okay. Now Draper was rested. Hopefully comes back in. The big talking point: Max was obviously gone, so I did consider trading him last week, but decided to lay off and see how Sammy Draper goes and reassess this week. But Sammy Draper was obviously out, so look, if Gorn's out, he's gone for me. If he doesn't play this week, look, if you watch this week's stock market videos, you'll know that the three blokes I'm looking at are Nick Nat, Laddams, and the Big O. I won't talk too much about it now because I rambled on about it a fair bit in the stock market video. So, yeah, if you're keen to hear more of my thoughts there, make sure that you check that out. But, yeah, if he does play, I'm still considering trading him just because I think I can really use the money that that I'll make off that trade, I think. Christian Petrarca, now officially my favourite non-Lions player. This bloke has really helped to keep my season afloat. And if he's not standing on the front of the Palladium, out the front there with Charlie around his neck on Brownlow night, if Lockie gets it, which I think he probably will, he should be at least set for a podium finish, I think. Outstanding season to date. I think I say this each week, but he's really taken his game to the next level. That's probably an understatement, but it's without doubt he's a must-have in your forward line now. I think I love absolutely everything about this guy. And how's that goal when he just burst away in a few steps and bombed it from outside 50? Absolutely elite. And last thing I'll say is that even when he rests forward, he's still extremely dangerous and always manages to be able to continue to boost his score, even when he's not on ball. So I am making a video. I did mention this, I think, in the stock market video as well. I can't remember. But if I didn't, I am creating a leapfrog series, focusing on some of those players that have taken a huge jump this year. We look back at their preseason and previous scoring history and try to determine why they've made that huge jump and look for some patterns. So, yeah, be sure to check that out when it's out in the next couple of weeks also. Brayshaw, gee, just love this pick. Geez, he's been a terrific starting pick for me. 574 now, an absolute premium in your forward line. No doubt about that whatsoever. A 150, 5-speed back on the side. He's still continued to kill it. He's the next generation, works his butt off. Some people think he's a little bit vanilla. He hasn't got a heap of X factor, but he's just a workhorse, this bloke. Really cleaned up his kicking efficiency as well. He can be relied upon to deliver that ball pretty well inside 50, which is terrific. Dusty, well, Dusty. We probably knew this was with Dusty. Sorry, went up for that massive score. Was on a pretty good run for a month, but we expect a 74 from him every now and then. Baz, he's been pretty disappointing for me, to be quite honest. 422 now. has he made value? I forget what I got him for, but it would have been probably around that price. Same as Simpkin. I've just lost money on this bloke. Was in love with this pick, but yeah, fallen out of love very, very quickly with the Simpkin pick. Jump on him, I suppose, if you haven't got him. But look, don't expect um, that average necessarily of 94. He could be lower. Again, as a g'day, mate. Speak to you soon, buddy. Ari, how are you, buddy? Um, and Rankin there, yeah, geez, a few people traded him out last week, or was it the week before as well? I know a few did last week, but his break even's gone right back down now. I think he can be one of our last upgrades because that average now of around 80, I think that's pretty good. We know that he may throw in a stinker, but I think he'll be one of my, or if not my last upgrade, Rankin. Arts, he's probably gone after next week. A little bit more cash to make. And Butterick, yeah, he'll just continue to probably stay in my side till the end of the year, and I'll just loop him with close when I need to. All right, so for my trades, it is a Friday night now, so it is a day or two later. Um, what I've decided to do is skip on Zach Williams. There is two defensive upgrades that I need to make. Obviously, due days out for the season now. So I've decided to get in Rory Laird and Zach Williams as those last two players. The reason why I went with Laird this week is because he's got that lower break even, and I think that he'll go up more. So I understand that Williams will go up also. He's got that, what did he get, about a 110, 111 from memory, I think, last night. So he'll certainly go up in value. But I just predicted that Laird would probably go up more. So for this week, Duday obviously has to come out. That's really unfortunate because I was banking on him, as I said, to stay there. Rory Laird, he's got to come in, I think. That midfield time is just too good to pass up. The next trade that I'll look to make, now, tough decision because I can either get out Arts for close and trade him out or trade out Simpson. So I still, what I've got about an hour till the game, but at this stage, I think I'm going to get rid of Simpson. Yeah, again, I'm not too sure, but I think I need to definitely get in Vital from St Kilda. I end up passing on Wicks because I just rated Vital better. You would have known that if you watched the stock market video. And then this is going to be the really, really big move. So the obvious move is just to go with Nick Nat. I think that's a really obvious move because he's had his bye. We know what he's scored in the last couple of weeks. A 129 last week, and he's got a really nice draw coming up against Hawthorn. So, geez, who knows? There could be a 140, 150 on the cards for Nick Nat against Hawthorn. But if I do that, what do I have in the bank? I'll have about 250k left. With some of the rookies I've got on the bench, I'm just not too confident at this stage if I'll be able to finish my side. So I really, really need to look for value. So the other two blokes that I'm really considering, the Big O, big fan of him. I was going to jump on him a few weeks ago on my forward line. So spewing I didn't do that. That would have made things a lot easier. Could have just switched him in for Gorn and then upgraded in the forward line or elsewhere, wherever I need to. As you can see, I've got a forward, a midfield, and two backs I need to get in. So I'm pretty lucky at this stage. Wherever the value is, I can pretty much get them in whatever line presents itself at the time. But the other option that I've got, I think I'm going with over Big O. Main reason being because he presents a little bit more value with his break even. I really, really like his upcoming 5 weeks. And yeah, with the Big O, he's certainly the number one ruck, but he's coming up against some really nice opponents as well. So he's yet to play some like Grundy, Goldstein, Witts, for example, Marshall Ryder, that combo. So he's coming up against some pretty solid opponents. So the bloke that I'm thinking about, this is really controversial, I think, is this man, Peter Adams. So hear me out. I understand this is probably a bad move, okay? But this is who he's facing in the next 5 weeks. He's got Stanley, Segler, Sinclair, Draper or Bell Chambers, and then finishes off with Grundy. So if you look at that next month, that's pretty fantastic. A great couple of weeks coming up. And as an example, Sean Darcy has a season average in the 60s. and he went 97 and 139 against Hawthorn and Geelong, and they're his two highest scores for the season. Just a quick example, you know, he's got that forward DPP status that he can use in case of emergency. He's got a really low break even, and he's basically guaranteed to go up in value. In very positive news as well, he scored really well with Lycett back on the side. But can he still produce those consistent 100 plus scores playing predominantly as a forward? That's a question, because you can be guaranteed that he'll spend a lot more time there. You know, his opportunity for CBAs and clearances goes down. Yeah, and this is why it's possibly a silly move to go a Laddams over a Big O, or particularly a Nick Nat, given the fact that both those guys are clearly the number one ruck and are going to spend the majority of their time in the number one ruck. What's really interesting as well is, let's quickly compare his heat maps. So another negative is that he's also got the dreaded round 15 bye. I've already got 5 Geelong and Western Bulldogs primos, so that hurts. But I suppose on a positive, Grundy and Draper should be available that round. So look, this is most likely going to come back to bite me in the bum. But look, I've got to take some risks now. You know, Nick Nat is certainly the safest and most logical option. So here's an option that I'd probably recommend for you. I'd probably go there, but that extra 100k will really help to complete my team. I think that Nick Nat will score a lot higher. Yeah, that's pretty much a given, I think. But yeah, with that extra 100k, it does mean a lot for my side. I've really got to outweigh that 100k with the fact that, well, Nick Nat probably will play every game. But look, there is a chance he gets arrested with these condensed fixtures. Remember that Nick Nat is very, very injury prone. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And these short turnarounds may come back to haunt him as well. And they do have some other options in the ruck that they can play for a particular week, maybe when they're coming up against some poorer opposition. So that's always a concern with Nick Nat as well. But I'd certainly, predict that he'll average a lot more than Laddams. So as we saw those heat maps, that's a really big concern. But unfortunately, that's what I've got to do. I've got to go with Pete. I think for that extra 100k, as you can see, I'll have 351. That should allow me to upgrade my side. I'll have 6 trades left with 3 spots to fill. Hopefully I can do close to 2 of those in 2 trades. 4 left. I'll probably need another 2 to finish off that last spot, wherever it is, in whatever line I plan on going on last. And then, yeah, maybe an injury trade, a luxury injury trade, if I'm lucky. We don't know what's going to happen if we get extra trades during the upcoming bye periods. I'm praying for it, fingers crossed, because that would be a massive, massive help to me. But I suppose we'll just have to see how we go with that one. They're my thoughts anyway. Yeah, a little bit wacky, a little bit out there. I'm not wrapped with what I'm doing, but I think at this stage we're forced into a few interesting and out there decisions. So all the best luck this week. Good on you guys. I'll catch you soon. Bye.